Hi, LB here from the Dartmouth Student Wellness Center. In today's class, we're going to be focusing on connecting with our breath and our body, but also with appreciation, and how that leads to a deeper connection with ourselves, and how that can also lead to deeper connection with others. One place I really have seen this play out in my life is with my partner, with my husband. There was a time where I was solely focusing on what I perceived as his flaws or shortcomings. And I had these unrealistic demands or expectations or conditions in my mind that our relationship will be better when he does more of the things that I like, when he, even something as silly, has better shoes that I like, when he eats a certain way that's more similar to me, when he gets the right thing. And I was placing all of these conditions on our relationship being good based on things that weren't fair. And so when I was able to see this perception and how flawed it was, I could start consciously shifting into more appreciation and more choosing to be more aware of the positive in my partner. And something wonderful happened. With this shift, our relationship just kind of took a whole new dynamic. There was a deeper understanding, deeper respect. He felt valued. He felt understood. I felt listened to, and we grew in appreciation for one another. Choosing to appreciate others despite their perceived flaws really lets them more fully appreciate you as well. So it starts with intentionally beginning to shift that perspective, and it begins with ourselves. So in this class, whether you're going to stay on the chair for the most part or move down to the mat or back and forth, I'm going to really invite you to focus on noticing the good within yourself, noticing your strength, your skill, your qualities that are positive, rather than nitpicking at the places that you might feel tight or not as strong. Reversing that and noticing the strength that you do possess, noticing the flexibility and the resiliency you do have, noticing how you cultivate this sense of strength and openness, whatever it may be. And so that's how it relates to this yoga practice, by becoming aware when we might slip into the negative and the self-critiquing, and flip it. All right? So we're going to start on a seated posture. And if you have trouble coming up and down from the floor, just staying on a chair is completely fine. If you want to stay and start on the floor, that's good too. All right? And we'll begin. And so finding a comfortable seat for you, and that might be cross-legged, that might be feet on the ground, that might be 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Again, there's no wrong or right here, but something that feels supported, something that you feel that you can begin to root down with your sitting bones, and perhaps even get a little tall with the spine, a little wake up. And you might let your eyes close. You're also welcome to leave them open. And first, just scanning your body gently. Noticing if there's any wiggle or shifts you want to make so that you feel that you have this steady, strong, supported posture. And then as we begin to shift into this world of being rather than doing, I invite you to let your breath help you get there. So beginning just to settle your awareness away from a to-do list, away from your perceived flaws or expectations, and just coming into appreciation that you're breathing right now. that you're able to choose what you want to focus on. Even if it's hard at times. And as we allow our minds to begin to settle in appreciation for the fact that we're alive and we're breathing, perhaps seeing if you can expand that appreciation to other systems or parts of your body that we might overlook. Maybe your digestive system is working pretty well. Your nervous system is humming along. Appreciating the mobility that you do have. And I'll also invite you to just contemplate a quality about yourself that is positive, that you can appreciate. And it doesn't have to be anything big. It can be, I'm a good listener. Or I show up to this class almost every week to help take care of myself. And if this part is difficult, imagine, or I'll invite you to imagine perhaps what a dear friend or a loved one might say that they appreciate about you. Nice, and now let any effort of the contemplation go. And just rest in awareness. I invite you to set a clear intention for the rest of our practice. You might think, I'll choose to appreciate the positive, the strength, and the things that I possess while gently moving through this practice. And now I invite you to begin to deepen your breath, beginning to breathe in and feel the belly expand, the spine getting a little brighter, and exhaling. Inhale, lifting your chin if it's fallen at all, so it's parallel with the ground, opening your eyes. And then beginning to stretch your arms out by your side. If you're on a chair, you can stay just on a chair like you are. And I'm going to transition to the ground. Staying with smooth, steady breaths. I'm going to just begin to first walk the fingertips out wide. And then from here, let the left ear fall to the left shoulder. As you walk those right fingertips out, maybe a millimeter further away from you, just until you feel a nice stretch in this outer side of the neck. Breathing in, exhaling to soften. Inhale. And as you exhale, letting the chin fall to your chest, pausing here for a moment, and then inhaling, letting the right ear come towards the right shoulder this time, letting that right hand draw slightly in as the left hand draws away. And here we're not forcing the head down, we're just gently letting that right ear reach towards the right shoulder. Noticing what's happening in the shoulders. Is the right shoulder lifting? Is the left shoulder lifting? Just seeing if they might remain soft, relaxed. Taking one more breath here, inhale. And as you exhale, letting the chin come back through center. Walking your fingertips back in, bringing them on your legs. And inhaling the chin so it's parallel to the ground. Exhaling your air out. Inhale, shrugging the shoulders up towards your ears, and exhale to roll them back down. 2 more times, just like that. Inhale, really accentuating the movement here. Inhale, sweeping the shoulders up, and exhale, relaxing down. Now for me, I'm going to invite everyone to come onto your hands and knees. If you want to stay in a chair for this, that's fine as well. If you feel comfortable in this tabletop position, I invite you to bring knees underneath hips, wrists underneath shoulders. If you're on a chair, you're just going to sit with your ankles underneath your knees, hands on your laps. We're going to just come through a few rounds of cat and cow, which is just a flexion in the spine. So first, just coming into a neutral spine. Gaze is looking down at your mat, a little, maybe 2 inches in front of your fingers, so that the cervical spine, the back of your neck, is in line with the rest of your spine. It's one long line. The upper arms, the whole arm bones are hugging towards one another as a little softening in the heart. The low belly slightly drawing in just to support your sacrum, your lower back. And then from here, we're going to begin to just scoop the tailbone out, soften the belly, let the heart drop between your upper arm bones, and then lift the chin, open the throat, looking up, drawing the tops of your shoulders away from the bottoms of your ears. If you're on a chair, you can do the same motion, just keeping your hands on the tops of your knees and letting your belly go towards the tops of your legs, chin and throat open. Then reversing that, starting with the base of your spine, beginning to scoop that under, pressing the floor away, coming into angry cat, feeling the back of your heart lift towards the ceiling as your head drops completely. Feeling the shoulder blades stretch away from one another, really accentuating this curve upward between each and every vertebrae. And then on your next inhale, beginning to link the breath with the movement, swaying back into cow, into this U-shaped posture of your spine. And then continuing to move with your breath, swaying to and from these 2 opposing shapes. Taking your time, maybe tuning in to what you appreciate about your body, about your mind here. Smooth, steady breath. Then we'll come through one more round. And when it's complete for everyone, meeting back into that neutral spine. And I'm going to invite everyone just to walk your hands back towards your knees, letting your toes be tucked under. And we're just going to sit for a moment on tops of our feet, giving ourselves a little toe stretch. We don't really pay a lot of attention to our feet. So you're just going to sit down gently, and you might feel a lot of sensation here. I want you to also bring in the sense of appreciation for your feet. One of those parts of the body that we might take for granted, all the steps, all the walks, all the places they take us. So just giving some TLC to our feet, and they might really be talking to you. Seeing if you could send your breath, inhale, and exhale. And then inhale, let yourself come off. Point your toes, wiggle your feet, and just coming back onto all fours for a moment here. Bringing wrists underneath shoulders, knees underneath hips, fingers spread out wide. And then from here, if you're on a chair, you're welcome to stay on a chair, right? We're just gonna bring a little balance in if you'd like. So first, starting with the right hand, we're just gonna walk through that right hand out in front of us and press down with our fingertips. Gaze is still looking down, back of the neck is still long. And then you might just stay right here. Option to float the hand, right? And you might float and you might decide to come right back down to the mat. That's totally fine. But keeping the integrity of the back, keeping the low belly gently drawing in. Breath smooth and steady. And another option here is to reach the left toes back long and let them just stay on the ground here. And you're always welcome to bring the fingers back to the floor when you need, or leave them lifted. Third option is to lift that back foot and then hug the right shoulder into the socket, the left hip into the socket, so everything's hugging towards the midline, connecting to your center, appreciating the strength, the balance, appreciating your limits when you're going past your edge and you might need to come down. Taking one more breath wherever you are, inhale. And as you exhale, letting the hand come back to the mat, the knee returning next to the other knee, and going through one round of cat and cow, just to give you a clean slate here, letting the head hang heavy, shoulders stretch away from one another, inhaling to that neutral spine, finding that little bit of core engagement to support the low belly, and then beginning to walk the left fingertips out long. Pausing here. Perhaps you stay here. Perhaps this side is different than the first side. Perhaps you play with balance just with the arm. And maybe you oscillate back and forth to ground, to air, or something in between. And then you're welcome to stay here, working on this engagement here, this balance, this focus. You're also welcome to draw the right foot back. Let your toes hit the ground. Feel the inner right thigh reach towards the sky so it's engaged. And then maybe you float that back foot, maybe you leave it grounded. But wherever you are, feeling that left shoulder reach back into the socket, that right hip reach into the socket. So your shoulder or hip are drawing towards your core, connecting to core, connecting to self. Taking one more breath, inhale. And as you exhale, let everything come down. And then for a moment, just let your knees come out wide, big toes towards touching, and let your hips reach towards your heels. Now, if this is cranky on your knees, you might stay pretty high up, and just coming to something like this, letting your head hang heavy, is totally fine. It's a modified child's pose. If your knees don't give you much trouble, you might let your hips reach all the way back, and your forehead find the floor, or maybe your fists stack on one another, or making a little pillow with your hands. Coming into your version of child's pose. Connecting with your breath here. Inhaling, feeling the belly, the lungs expand. Exhaling, emptying it all out. And inhaling as you're ready, coming back onto all fours, bringing knees underneath hips, and just walking your hands back to your knees once again. And we're going to just help ourselves to a stand. Again, if you want to rest in child's pose for a couple more breaths and just meet us as you're ready, feel free to do that. But we're just going to come into this forward fold. So we're not even lifting all the way up yet. Letting our knees bend pretty deeply, letting our head drop. So our gaze is looking either between our knees, between our shins, in that direction. Maybe shaking your head yes and no, back and forth. Maybe your hands aren't even touching the floor. Maybe they're resting on your legs. Maybe they're hugging opposite elbows. All of that is completely fine. And then wherever you are, letting your arms hang. And then pressing through your feet, softening your knees, and inhale slowly to rise all the way up. Rolling your shoulders up, back, and down, coming into mountain pose. And taking a moment to really create a foundation for your mountain pose. So letting your feet be hip distance apart, paralleling off your feet so they're in kind of like two straight lines, and maybe even lifting and spreading your toes and pushing down with all four corners of the feet, appreciating the ground beneath you, right? Appreciating that there's steadiness here, that you can place weight here. And then from that foundation, we begin to just lengthen out through the crown of our head while letting our shoulders drop, our palms slightly open. Taking a deep breath in and exhale. And a few rounds of half sun salutations or sun breaths. So pressing down through your feet, inhale, lifting up through the arms, letting your gaze look towards the sky. Now arms might come halfway, the elbows may stay bent, they might come all the way overhead, whatever feels most skillful for you. And then as you exhale, letting the arms, the hands come down into heart center. 2 more times, just like that. Inhale, rooting down to rise up, extending through the body. Exhale, letting hands reach down to heart. Inhale to sweep up. Exhale, hands to heart. Now adding a little bit on here, same thing, we root down to rise up, lifting arms overhead. This time as we draw our hands to heart, we bend our knees and begin to fold all the way forward into a forward fold. Again, letting hands come where it feels most compassionate for you. That might be the top of your legs, right? You might stay here with the knees bent pretty deeply. You might let the hands just dangle. You might bend your knees a lot to let the hands come to the floor. Anywhere along that place is perfectly fine, allowing yourself to come into this forward fold. And on your next in-breath, pressing through the feet, straightening the knees ever so slightly and coming up halfway from wherever you are, coming into a flat back. So feeling the crown of the head reach forward as your tailbone reaches behind you, shoulders drawing back. And then keeping all this length in your spine, re-bend the knees as much as you need and begin to hinge at the hips to fold all the way forward, coming to a place that works for you. And then inhale, pressing through the feet, rooting down to rise all the way up on a big, big inhale. Exhaling, hands to heart center. One more time, linking that all together. So as you're ready, inhale, lifting through the arms, stretching up. Exhale, bending through the knees, folding forward to wherever is comfortable for you, letting the head hang heavy. Inhale to straighten the legs, coming up flat, halfway, flat back. Exhale to fold. Inhale to rise. Exhale, hands down by your side. From here, stepping your right foot to the front of the mat. We're going to step our left foot all the way back. And it might take a couple twists and turns and shuffles to get this nice long stance here. But we're going to set up for warrior two pose. So the front heel will bisect the arch of your back foot. The back foot can be slightly turned in. And then before we even come into the shape, I'm going to invite you just to focus on the foundation once again. You really begin to root down with the inner edge of this front foot. Begin to root down with the inner edge of the back foot. So there's weight in both feet. And we're going to keep weight in both feet, even when we begin to bend into the right knee. And then from here, I'm going to invite everyone to lift their arms so they're shoulder height. And notice how your shoulders are over your hips. It's pretty centered right here now. And we're going to keep all of that so nothing is really moving except for our right knee. And so we're just going to begin to glide out onto that right knee, bending towards 90 degrees. It might get there, it might not. We're just going in that direction. Noticing if this kind of happened, we're reaching out into the future, we're kind of lagging in the past, and seeing if you can come right in center. And then if you're feeling tight in the shoulders, it might feel nice to lift open the palms and just feel some looseness in the shoulders. You're welcome to stay there, or you're welcome to keep that, but turn the palms down. Now gaze begins to look out over that middle finger. Breathing in here, breathing in length, exhaling into your feet. And just taking a moment to take in the good. See what you can appreciate about you here. Is it perseverance? Is it strength? Is it your breath? Is it your focus? Is it embracing the shakiness? Okay. Beautiful. And then we're going to add a little bit of movement to here. So on your next in-breath, we're going to inhale, straighten the right knee. Let the arms reach overhead. The gaze looks up. Fingers might touch, they might not. That's okay. And then exhaling, hands to heart, gaze comes down. Inhale, reaching through the arms, pushing the air away. Exhale, coming into warrior two. One breath here. Inhale, straightening that leg, arms rise. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, warrior two. Exhale to stay. One more time, just like that. Inhale to straighten. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, pressing the arms out, bending the knee. Exhaling to stay. And then staying some more. And then from here we have options. We're going to drop our back hand down. If this leg is like, woo, screaming at you and you want to straighten it, feel free to do that. Appreciate what you're feeling in that leg and act, you don't have to keep going past your edge. If it feels like you want to stay in this bent knee, I'll encourage you to do so. And from here, straight-legged or bent, we're just going to flip our front palm and then root this right shoulder back into the socket. And then from here, reach out with that right hand. Okay? So everything is still in this kind of angular way. And then we're going to bend back, reaching back. So we're not collapsing in our left waist. We're lifting out of our hips. I had a teacher that always said, in this pose, just imagine you're reaching for that cereal box in a hard-to-get cabinet, and this is the only way you can get it. So it's a lift up. If leg is straightened, it's the same principles. Taking one more breath here, inhale, and exhale. And then inhale, pressing through the feet, rising back up. Warrior two, if leg is straight, I'll invite you to bend it back once again. And then from here, reaching out with those right fingertips, bending the right elbow, coming into bent triangle. So that right elbow comes to the top of the knee, the left arm just overhead. If you need to come a little higher, you just place the palm of your hand on that leg. If you need to get a little bit more higher, you straighten that leg ever so slightly. Wherever you are, the real openness is with the chest, that left shoulder, right shoulder drawing back, the left shoulder drawing back. Gaze can be in the direction of your heart. It could either be down or it could be looking at your hand. And noticing what's happening in your neck and what would be most skillful for you. Taking one more breath here, inhale and exhale. And then inhale, let the left hand, this one up here, carry you all the way back, warrior two. Inhale to straighten that front leg. Now coming into a little bit fuller of a triangle with the right leg straight. We're going to reach out with our right fingertips once again. And then from here, just tipping over. Hand might come to the thigh, to the shin, maybe to the floor. Again, there's no right or wrong here, but wherever you are, Notice what's happening in the knee. If it's hyperextending, I'll just invite you to bring a little micro bend, really pressing down through the inner edge of that front foot, anchoring down with the back edge of your back foot, and then peeling your heart open. Gaze again can look down, forward, or up towards that left hand. Feeling shoulders stacked. Taking one more breath here. Inhale and exhale. And inhale, pressing through the feet. Again, letting that left hand reach you up and over. Exhaling, hands to hips, letting those right toes point forward. And beginning just to hinge forward, coming into a wide leg forward fold. You might pause halfway, bringing hands staying on your hips. You might wish to come down a little further, letting the crown of the head hang heavy. You might even like to bring your hands on the floor. Again, meeting yourself where you are, checking in with your body, noticing if there's any critiquing, just becoming aware of what you might perceive as flaws or shortcomings. Where can you flip that script? Where can you shift your perspective to seeing more, to appreciating? Smooth, steady breathing. Crown of the head is heavy wherever you are. And as you're ready, I invite you to come up halfway. Deep breath in. Exhaling, hands to your hips if they're not already. And inhale, coming up slowly to stand. Letting your arms come down, pivoting on your front foot. And maybe with 2 or 3 steps, coming to the front of your mat into mountain pose once again. Inhaling, hands up to the sky. 1 sun breath here. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale to mountain pose. Exhale to just pause and notice, to breathe. Maybe appreciating this moment of stillness. Noticing if you're leaning into the other side already that we'll be doing. And see if you can lean here, be here for a couple of sweet, still moments. As you're ready, if you close your eyes, as I did, I invite you to open them back up. And this time we're going to step our right foot back long, left foot forward, creating the base for Warrior Two once again on this side now. Making any adjustments with your feet. And then first just lifting the arms, feeling the shoulders over hips, the head over your shoulders, so staying center. Maybe opening the palms, letting the shoulders soften, maybe keeping palms open or replacing them down. And then everything in your upper body from the waist up stays the same. The only thing that's different is that that left knee is going to begin to bend. Bend, 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 bend. Yep. And then opening that left knee towards your 4th little toe. Noticing if anything happened in the upper body. And with seeing, you can make little adjustments, right? We don't need to berate ourselves like, I leaned forward. Appreciate, I noticed that. Now I get to shift. I get to choose a different way. And lastly, allowing the gaze to look past that middle finger. Pressing down to the feet to feel a sense of lightness in the body. Letting the breath be present, smooth. And bringing a little bit of that movement in on your next in-breath. Straighten the front leg, arms lift overhead. Exhaling, hands to heart center. Inhale to press the air away, coming back into Warrior Two, staying for the exhale. And then inhaling to lift up. Exhaling, hands to heart. Inhale to spread your wings, to open, staying for the exhale. One more round here. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Pause. And pause again, staying here. Options again to keep that front knee bent or to straighten that leg while you let that back hand find your back leg. Opening that left palm, reaching out. And then from here, coming up and over. You know, this is a perfectly fine place to stay. You might want to reach back, you might want to go somewhere in between. So noticing on this side, where you really want to focus is lifting out of the hips rather than collapsing at the low back. So that the back bend, the heart opener, is coming from your heart. On your next inhale, coming back up into either straight legs, then exhale, bending the knee, meeting in warrior two. Inhale, reaching the left arm out, bending the elbow, either placing your hand on the top of your leg or your left elbow. And then turning the right palm to face open as you lift the right hand up and over. Stacking shoulders over one another, letting that left shoulder draw back as that right shoulder falls away from your ear. That left knee is drawing open as the right hip is drawing back. So that we are in a kind of a flat plane with our body. One more breath here. Inhale. And exhale. And letting this right hand draw you all the way up, coming back into warrior two. Inhale to straighten that front leg. Just shy to straight, so there's a little micro bend in that front knee. Inhale, reaching out for those left fingertips. Exhale to hinge forward, letting the hand drop wherever's most comfortable. It might be here, it might be right here. It might be on the shin. Again, there is no wrong or right. It's listening to your body, honoring that, appreciating where you are, letting go of that inner critic as best as you can, staying present, staying kind. On your next inhale, again, letting the right fingers bring you up and over. Exhaling, hands to your hips, letting the left toes draw forward. And this time, heel-toeing your feet out. So toes are drawing out, heels in. And we're just going to begin to bend our knees, opening our knees towards our pinkies, letting the hips drop, shoulders over hips, ears over shoulders. And just beginning to rock around a little bit on your feet. Option to bring the arms in. Options to bring your hands in prayer over your head for a little bit of a shoulder stretch and a heart opener here. Breathing. Exhaling. Inhale to open up. Exhale, letting your arms come down. Inhale, pivot on your front foot once again. And then make the couple steps up to the front of the mat, coming into mountain pose once again. Feeling your base. Taking in the good. And from here, I invite everyone to first just coming to some standing balances before we move back to the ground. The first just is bringing the right toes out in front of you and bending the knee. And so this might be where you work on. This is already a balance pose, shifting our weight. Heel is lifted. Other option is to lift that foot and hold underneath your leg, flexing that top foot. Third option, to let that left hand down and hold the knee and lift that leg a little higher. And so you might try all three and figure out, nope, this is the one for me, this is the one for me, or this, or something that you're creating on your own, right? I just get to offer suggestions. You get to decide what you want to do. So wherever you are, is seeing and the steadiness, the balance. And then beginning to open that knee so that left hip keeps drawing back as that right knee opens. If your foot's on the ground, it'll just look something like this. Beautiful. And then from here, setting up into tree pose. So option 1 is toes stay grounded, heel comes into the ankle. Option 2, you draw the foot to our calf below our knee. Option 3, if your knee is lifted, you can grab your ankle and place your foot in your upper inner thigh, anywhere along your leg except for your knee. And then for this variation, we're going to draw our arms back, palms open, shoulder blades coming towards one another. I'm going to bring my foot to the ground. From here, even playing with lifting your gaze towards the sky, really feeling the center of your chest is what is growing up. So it takes a lot of vulnerability to flip the script, to get out of a default mode of negativity, and into appreciating not only the good in others, but really the good in ourselves. So softening. Taking one more breath, inhale, and exhale. And then inhale to let the chin come back through center, relaxing the arms. And just the way you came in, knee comes back to center, grounding down through the foot. And then just shaking it out. Again, always noticing if you're kind of leaning towards the next side, instead allowing yourself this sweet moment of just being, appreciating having weight in both legs, your heartbeat, your breath. And as you are ready, coming into a place that feels workable for you, and this side might be different. So instead of just kind of going on autopilot, checking in. Does this feel most skillful? Does this feel most skillful? Or perhaps on this side, this does. Right. Rooting down with the inner edge of that right foot as you open the leg. Right hip moves back, left hip also moves back. So we're peeling the hips open, oop, tipping over too. And then from here, setting up for tree pose. So the options, again, upper inner thigh, the calf below the knee, or kickstanding, the heel against the ankle, toes on the ground. And then once you find your steadiness, reaching your arms back, palms open, shoulder blades draw away towards one another. We scoop the tailbone, so we're protecting the low back. And we just do this little heart opener. It might just be a tiny little lean back. And you notice the deep roots that you're planting down to support the vulnerability of opening up. Taking one more breath, inhale. And exhale. And then inhale to lift back up if you've arched back at all, letting your arms relaxed. And then just the way you came in, letting your knee come back through center and touching down, feeling grounded. And one more sun breath here. So as you're ready, inhaling, arms back up towards the sky. Exhale, bending the knees and folding deeply, taking your time. Inhale, lifting up halfway, flat back. And exhale to fold. And then from here, I'm just going to invite everyone to begin to walk their feet slightly back and begin to help yourself onto the ground, maybe drawing knees first and then letting your hips go to one side as you sweep your feet in front of you, taking your time to get there. All right, and as you arise, you might just sit in the middle of your mat and walk your feet out. So you're kind of creating this triangle shape with your legs and the mat. And then from here, we're just going to come into a variation of boat pose. So a lot of connecting is all about connecting with our core values, with our core self. And so in this pose, we're literally connecting with our core. But I'll also invite you to take it to that next place of connecting with what matters to you. You know, meeting your edge, but not going past it. So there's gonna be lots of options here to work with. So first is just letting your fingers go under the creases of your knees and beginning to lift your heart up towards your knees as you bend your elbows back. Beautiful. And then you might just wish to stay here. This is already a lot of core work, lifting our heart up while we still maintain a breath. We relax between the eyes, we soften the jaw. If you want to play with it, play is the operative word, you might walk your tiptoes in a bit and come just on your toes, lifting the heels, feeling the thighs come a little bit closer to your belly, elbows still stay bent, and you're reaching your heart towards your knees. Next option, again, just to play, is maybe you lift one foot, you place it down, maybe you lift the other foot, you place it down, maybe you go from side to side, maybe you play with a little bit of balance, lifting both feet. Again, notice if this kind of has happened, and see if you can come onto the sitting bones, lifting the heart to meet the knees, letting the calves be somewhat parallel to the ground, hugging your knees in towards one another. And the third option is to release the arms, again, lifting up while releasing tension in the jaw, which a helpful way to do that is letting the corners of the mouth go up to the sky. Right? Breathing. Appreciating that there are options, that you have free will to shift whenever you need. Taking one more breath wherever you are. Inhale, lifting a little higher. And then exhale, slowly lower your feet down if they're lifted. Hug your knees and lift up, lifting your throat, lifting your chin. And then exhaling, softening, letting your arms go out wide. Feet tiptoe out again once more. And then we're just going to begin to ease our way down. You might pause here and bring your arms down. And then your elbows. Maybe shift your hips so you stay on your mat until you come all the way to the ground. Lying on your back, knees bent. Palms, arms lying next to your torso, palms face down. And I'll just invite you to walk your feet, your heels closer into your bum. Nuzzle your shoulder blades towards one another so it feels like they're creating a little shelf for your heart. And then keeping your chin lifted and in the center, and your gaze looking up. I'll just invite you to press through the feet, which stay somewhat parallel, and beginning to lift the hips up, coming into bridge pose. Feeling the shins move away from you energetically. Feeling the arms press down and the hips rise. The chin stays lifted to protect the neck. The back of the crown of your head stays grounded. The knees continue hugging towards one another without collapsing in. Maybe you can even see the movement of your breath out of the corner of your eye and your belly. And taking one more breath, inhaling and exhaling to slowly lower down. Let your full back rest on the ground. Just let your knees windshield wiper from side to side. And then coming to center with your knees. And giving yourself a hug, hugging the knees in, making yourself small like a seed, even maybe lifting your head up, hugging everything in. And then slowly uncurling, extending your arms by your side, reaching one leg out at a time long and then the other. Option to just stay here in Shavasana in our final relaxation pose, appreciating the rest. If you prefer to end with a couple of minutes of seated meditation, you're also welcome to sit up. But wherever you are, I invite you to let go of effort of your breath, letting effort go of your body, maybe making any shifts so that you feel like you are in your most comfortable posture. Letting the feet be heavy, the legs, softening the arms and your hands, releasing the belly and any gripping in the chest, letting the jaw drop down slightly, feeling the muscles of your face begin to ease. Allowing yourself to take a respite here, to enjoy the fruits of your practice. And as you feel ready, I invite you to begin to deepen your breath, deepening your awareness. And slowly reawaken through the body, perhaps starting by wiggling fingers and toes, wrists and ankles, and gradually stretching and moving in whatever way feels good for you. Until you're ready to help yourself up to a comfortable seated posture, perhaps first hugging your knees in one last time. Maybe you rock to one side or you roll all the way up. Either coming back to your chair or into a comfortable seated position. And if you'd like, I want you to bring your hands in front of your heart center as a gesture of self and appreciating the self, but also as a gesture of this deep connection that we share with all others. As we connect our hands, we connect our hearts, We connect through suffering, through being there for one another, by choosing to appreciate rather than to judge. And it begins with ourselves. So as you move onward, I invite you not to just stop our practice here, but to see where you can bring this notion of appreciation off the mat and into your life and into your relationships. So from my heart to yours, thank you. Namaste.